Hey everyone, thinking about bringing on a VBScript developer,
Smart move.
especially if you're dealing with Windows systems.
Yeah, lots of windows.
But finding the right person, though,
Oh, it can be a nightmare.
it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
A huge one.
But that's why we're doing this deep dive.
Exactly.
Your shortcut to hiring smart, all thanks to our friends at theperfectdeveloper.com.
They really know their stuff. Connecting businesses with awesome developers.
Totally. And hey, before we even get started, I have a quick tip.
Oh, let's hear it.
Head over to theperfectdeveloper.com and try their 5 questions tool. It's like a matchmaking service.
For developers.
Yeah. And it'll save you so much time and hassle.
You won't regret it.
Okay, so let's dive into the world of VBScript developers. What do they actually do?
Well, think of them as the automation wizards of the Windows world.
Wizards, huh?
Yeah, they make those boring, repetitive tasks just vanish, poof, with a few lines of code.
So not building the next TikTok then?
Uh-huh. Probably not. They're all about automating tasks, specifically within Windows environments.
I see.
Like, imagine you have to rename hundreds of files
Ugh, sounds awful.
or move them to specific folders based on some, complicated rules.
Yeah.
A VBScript developer, they could whip up a script to do that in minutes.
Seriously.
You'd save hours of manual work.
So it's about working smarter, not harder.
You got it.
Okay, so I gotta ask though, is VBScript still relevant these days? Everyone's talking about all this new tech.
It's a great question, and it's where things get interesting.
Oh, tell me more.
VBScript might be considered a legacy language, but it's still super important for tons of systems, especially in big organizations.
So if your company relies on those systems, you need someone who gets VBScript.
Absolutely.
Makes sense, but what about companies that, aren't tied to those older systems?
Right.
Any reason for them to hire a VBScript developer?
For sure. Even if you're not dealing with legacy systems, VBScript can be a lifesaver for automating tasks, within the Windows ecosystem.
I think of it as a secret weapon to, boost efficiency and free up your team.
Makes sense, so they can focus on more important stuff.
Yeah, the big picture.
Okay, I'm starting to see the value here.
Yeah.
But let's get down to brass tacks.
Right.
What skills should you actually be looking for when hiring one of these VBScript developers?
2 main things. Technical skills, obviously,
First.
and then soft skills.
Right, makes sense. Let's start with the technical stuff. What are the must-haves?
Deep understanding of VBScript itself is number 1.
Of course.
But you also want someone who really knows the Windows ecosystem,
Yeah.
especially Windows Server. That's where a lot of the automation happens.
So it's not just the language, it's knowing where it lives.
Exactly. And experience with automation tools and frameworks is a huge plus.
Got it.
You want them to be able to jump right in and start automating things.
Yeah, no time for hand-holding.
Right.
What about networking and Active Directory? I hear those terms a lot.
Super important, especially for bigger companies.
Active Directory is basically a central database for users and permissions within a network.
Okay.
A lot of VBScript automation involves interacting with that, so,
So we got to know how it all works together.
you got it.
All right, so we talked about the technical side.
Mm-hmm.
What about those soft skills?
Well, you need someone who's a natural problem solver.
Yeah, those are valuable.
Debugging is a big part of their job, so being able to think critically and troubleshoot is key.
So they got to be like detectives.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
They got to figure out what went wrong.
And fix it.
Exactly.
Pretty easily.
Communication, super important.
Oh, for sure.
They need to understand what you need, explain their approach, and document their code.
So everyone else can understand it too.
Exactly. And lastly, adaptability.
Adaptability.
Yeah, the tech world changes fast.
That's for sure.
You want someone who's willing to learn new things and adapt.
To keep up with the times.
Yep, exactly.
So finding a VBScript developer isn't just about, checking boxes.
It's more than that.
It's about finding someone who can think for themselves, communicate clearly, and roll with the punches.
And that's where theperfectdeveloper.com comes in.
Oh, yeah.
They're pros at matching businesses with the right developers.
Especially for specialized skills.
Absolutely.
Okay, hold that thought.
Okay.
Because after a quick break, we'll be back to tackle the big question.
The big one.
How much will this all cost you?
Yeah, let's talk money.
We'll be right back.
So we were talking about finding a great VBScript developer.
And all the skills they need.
Right, but now...
Let's talk about the cost.
Yeah, how much is this all going to cost?
Everyone wants to know what's the salary for these automation wizards.
It depends, like any tech job.
Yeah, of course.
On experience, location, all that.
Right. full-time, part-time freelance.
Exactly, but just to give you a ballpark, in the U.S., you're probably looking at somewhere between $50,000 and $90,000 a year
Okay.
for a full-time mid-level VBScript developer.
And what about over in Europe? Is it about the same?
In Europe, it's usually more like 40,000 to 75,000 per year.
So there's definitely some regional differences there.
For sure.
What if you go the freelance route? What kind of hourly rates are we talking?
Freelancers, they usually charge between $20 and $60 an hour.
Okay, so there's a pretty wide range there.
Yeah, it all comes down to their experience, their location, all of that.
So you really got to do your research.
Absolutely.
Figure out what fits your budget and your need.
Exactly. And don't forget about location.
Oh, right.
It affects more than just the salary.
Like what?
The overall cost.
Ah, I see.
You might find some amazing VBScript developers in places with a lower cost of living.
Okay.
You know, they can offer great work at a much better price.
So outsourcing could be a good
It could
option.
be a real game changer.
Speaking of finding the right developer,
Yeah.
any red flags to watch out for?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like what?
A big one is people forgetting about the long-term implications of those older systems.
The legacy stuff?
Exactly. You need to be clear about your plans. Are you sticking with VBScript, or are you going to move to something newer eventually?
So if you're thinking about migrating, you want someone with experience
Hmm?
in both.
VBScript and the new technology.
It's like being bilingual, right?
Exactly. It's about finding someone who can adapt and grow with your company.
So they don't get left behind.
Right.
What other mistakes do people make?
Sometimes they underestimate the importance of soft skills.
Yeah, those are important too.
Absolutely. You need someone who can communicate, solve problems, and work with the team.
You can't just have a brilliant programmer who can't talk to anyone.
Exactly. It's about balance.
Technical skills, problem solving, and all those soft skills.
You got it.
And that's where the perfectdeveloper.com can really help.
They're great at finding those well-rounded developers.
Who fit your company culture and all that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we've talked about what VBScript developers do,
Uh-huh.
the skills you should look for,
Right.
and how much it might cost.
Yeah, we covered a lot.
But there's one last big question.
Okay, what is it?
Is VBScript the right choice for you long term? Especially with all the new technology coming out all the time.
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
VBScript is still out there. It's important for a lot of systems.
Yeah.
But the tech world keeps moving.
It never stops.
It's like holding onto your old flip phone when everyone else has a smartphone.
You're missing out.
Yeah, there are newer languages like PowerShell. They
Yeah.
offer more flexibility, more features, and they're more secure.
Especially for Windows, right?
Right, exactly.
So it kind of sounds like we're at a crossroads here with VBScript.
Yeah, a little bit.
It works. It's out there. But,
But it might not be the best for the future.
right, so what advice would you give to businesses trying to figure this out?
It really depends on, what you need and what your goals are.
Okay.
If you're really tied to VBScript for your important systems, a phased approach might be good.
Okay, so like not going cold turkey.
Exactly.
You keep those systems running with VBScript.
Yeah, maintain and support them.
But at the same time, you're slowly moving to newer stuff.
Over time, a gradual transition.
So you're not stuck in the past.
Exactly.
You can have like one foot in each world.
Exactly. And when you're hiring, you might want to look for developers who have experience in both.
Ah, that makes sense.
They can handle the VBScript stuff now.
And help you move forward later.
They're like bilingual programmers.
Speaking both languages.
VBScript and the language of the future.
That's a great analogy.
Ah.
You get the best of both worlds.
You're ready for anything.
And that's where the perfectdeveloper.com can be a huge help.
Oh, absolutely.
They don't just do VBScript. They have all sorts of developers
A whole network.
with expertise in all sorts of technology.
Just no matter what you need.
Whether you're sticking with VBScript or trying something new,
Or looking for that bilingual programmer.
they can find the perfect fit.
They take the stress out of hiring.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap before we go. VBScript developers, they're the automation pros for Windows.
The wizards.
Yeah.
They're still in demand, especially for companies with those older systems.
The legacy stuff.
Right.
But the tech world is always changing.
Always moving.
And those newer languages like PowerShell are getting more popular.
They offer more. They're more modern.
So you got to think long term when you're hiring.
What's best for your company in the future?
Do you need a pure VBScript expert? Someone with experience in newer stuff? Or someone who can do both?
The bilingual programmer.
And no matter what you choose, the perfectdeveloper.com can help.
They're the best.
Don't forget about their 5 questions tool.
It's so easy to use.
You get personalized recommendations. It's like,
Like having a personal recruiter.
right in your pocket.
Head over to theperfectdeveloper.com and give it a try.
So that wraps up our deep dive into the world of VBScript developers.
Hope you learned something.
We had fun, and hopefully you did too.
We'll see you next time.
On The Deep Dive, where we'll explore another exciting corner of the tech world.